The big news last night, guys, as we pivot to defense once again, is Thomas Harley. We talked about...
Why? What happened?
Well, take a look at the screen. He signed a deal.
Oh, I didn't even know we had a screen up
We
here.
do. Oh,
Okay.
Our producer is on top of things today.
Okay, cool.
Thomas Harley signed last night, and we talked about Esther Lindell's contract extension, which came out right before our show. And Harley, later in the evening, 2-year, $8 million contract, a 4.0 AAV, $4 million average annual value.
Are either two of you guys surprised about the contract in any shape or form?
After what we talked about?
I think I actually said, as Lud says, he likes to give credit where credit is due, even if it's to himself. And I believe that we were talking, and I said that
that's his
nobody else is going to do it.
That's his favorite place to put credit is to himself.
If you think that he was going to get over 4, and we thought the comparables were just under 4, landing at 4 seems like a pretty nice place to do, and that's exactly where they landed. So I think I'm not surprised at it at all.
I'm not surprised at the number as much as I am the term.
You thought it'd be longer?
Yes. I thought it would be a minimum of 3.
Why?
I don't know. I just think that, a little security, for 3 years. You got another year to prove that you earn more, because you can have a
term for the team or term for the player?
For the player.
So you think Harley would have wanted a third
I
year?
would have thought that he would have wanted, I thought it was going to be 3 years, not 2. And again, I think it's betting on yourself and say, okay, here's a deal. You don't want to give me whatever he wanted as a long-term deal. Okay, I get it. The cap's going to go up. I get it. But I would like to have, because what happens if you have a year and a half that doesn't live up to?
Well, he has $8 million, so that's not too bad.
No, but he's banking on having 6 in there for over 8 or 7 or 6 or something.
One thing you've met Thomas, we know that he is really confident in himself.
Where's he from?
He is from Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse,
He's American. He's American. Let's just say
he is.
He's American.
He actually represented Canada in the junior ranks because he's
American.
Yeah,
he's a cool kid.
He is.
Okay,
but he has, Razor loves the phrase athletic arrogance.
No.
I think you have to have a supreme amount of confidence to just get to the NHL. Anywhere near the NHL, you can't be self-doubting yourself. That doesn't mean that self-doubt doesn't happen amongst NHL players. I'm sure it does once you start playing against other supremely talented individuals. But I think that we'd have to talk to him. I don't know how much he'd share, but I think Thomas is not at all afraid of prove it, because he'll be 25 after this contract. He'll have arbitration rights. His RFA number will be, 4.5, I think? Yeah. He's expecting a huge contract next, but I think the Stars will be happy to give it to him if he continues to play well.
Can we say kudos to Jim Nill?
We have to. I mean, throw that quote up, that chat up just now again, John. There's a player or somebody who said, well, it's covering Thomas Harley right now. Adam wrote in, Harley's contract is good for both sides. Still be an RFA, and with what he has shown so far, he can command huge deal. Yeah, it seems fair.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's fair from both sides. And again, I give Jim credit because, there's got to be some, a little massaging here and there and how you sell what your plan is, and good for the team, good for you. Keep it in the number. I think every team for the most part comes in. They've got their numbers that they want to be overall. And I believe that he is right on it. And it gives him about $1.5 million under the cap right now if they need it to, down the road for something. So wait, Sam, are you paying attention or do you have somebody screwing with you there?
Oh,
what's going on?
Who's there?
No. I have. It's just funny because players are walking up and down doing their media day. So I'm just making sure I'm not talking about someone.
Did he just say this player?
Down the elevator.
These players.
Oh, these. Players.
No. He's
these
trying.
Players.
He's just checking to make sure he's not ripping Thomas Harley as he walks by and goes hello.
It was Harley and Maverick Bork 2 seconds ago.
Okay, well there you go.
See, he's in the action, Lud. He's on the scene.
Hey, tell him I'd like him to walk across the street. We want to talk to him. Can you go chase him down?
Across the street.
Yeah, well,
you guys are across the street.
Well, maybe if they were at the AAC.
Yeah, wow. Just come on down.
It's interesting that you brought up the number, though, the cap room, because I was looking at Puckpedia for the breakdown of the salary cap, and they have the Stars a little bit lower, and I wanted to see why, because they say that after the signing, the Stars have about $693,000 in cap space, and say, well, that's really low. Well, what did they do? They put in Matej Blumel at 775 and Oscar Beck at 770. That's 14 forwards on that roster. And that's just their thought of who might be there. But think about that. Last year at this time, the Stars carried the minimum 12 to start the season up front. And I think they started with 12-6, maybe 7. I'd have to go back and look. Because they were so tight against the cap, they tried to bank it. Here, they have room to add a 13th and or 14th forward if they wanted to. 7 defensemen. They could even add an 8th and take a forward away. The point is, you mentioned $1.5 million. There's some wiggle room, and that's why Jim Nill did what he did. It's also why they had to trade away Radek Faksa, was they needed to clear up that $3 million in space to be able to fit this all in.
Yeah, and again, this isn't done this year. This didn't all come about this summer, and I think that's what all of these teams have to do now. Is you have to have your crystal ball, and you've got to be able to look into the future and know where you are, know where your picks are, where your draft picks are, where your players that are about ready to be in 2 years versus 1 year. And it's a juggling act. And we've mentioned some of them players that are going to be coming up. And we talked about them ad nauseum probably for some people, that they're gonna want some money coming up in the next 2 or 3 years.